record this session. Right, so there are always two terms when it comes to shifting your mindset, and that's fixed mindset and that is growth mindset. And some of you may not be aware of those terms, but we're going to delve a bit deeper. So the mind is very, very, very powerful. And I have a picture of a child there because most of our belief systems and how we grow up starts in the mind and when we are babies/children. If you want to impact any young person's life or anybody's life, it starts in childhood, and psychologists will tell you this. So I'm going to give you some bit of a background with regards to the fixed and growth mindset. And it was actually coined by an American psychologist called Carol Dweck. And she came up with this concept 30 years ago when she did studies of the behaviors of children. And she found that children react to failure in one of two ways. Some of them either bounce back from their failures or they're devastated by the smallest setbacks. And I definitely see myself as somebody who is able to bounce back from their smallest failures. But for some individuals, they do struggle and they're absolutely devastated by their smallest setbacks. So she coined the term fixed mindset and growth mindset to describe two sets of belief systems. And she found that children were devastated by failure. They exhibited the fixed mindset. So children believe that their failure meant that it was not possible to succeed based on the set of talents that they already had believed, or they can't improve their skills. So I hope that's clear. So the fixed mindset, when she did her study, she found that when children failed, they believed that they couldn't improve themselves after their failure, or they couldn't improve their skill set, their talents, their mindset at all. But she found out those who have a growth mindset actually bounce back after failure, and they believe that their skills and qualities can be improved. And it's been found that children who have a growth mindset, they did not view their failures as permanent roadblocks, but instead they process their lack of success as helpful information that could lead them to future accomplishment. So I'm going to pause there and give you some time to ponder. You can write me in the chat box and just look at some point in your life where you've exhibited a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. So if you've had a fixed mindset, you've more than likely been devastated by a failure and did not think you could bounce back from it. But if you've exhibited a growth mindset, then you've looked at that failure as an opportunity to rise, as an opportunity to start all over again. You've received that information to change your life around. And I believe that failure literally means feedback. You know, I always tell people, never laugh at somebody who's failed, because that person has tried and that person has gained more experience than the person who has never tried, right? So on your journey to success, these two mindsets are paramount. You must analyze which mindset you're adopting in any sphere of your life. So just to recap, a fixed mindset is where people believe that their qualities are fixed traits and therefore they cannot change. People like this document their intelligence and talents rather than working to develop and improve them. And a growth mindset, people have an underlying belief that their learning and intelligence can grow with time and experience. And when people believe they can become smarter, they realize their effort has an effect on their success. So they put in extra time, leading them to higher achievement. And I'm sure you've heard the adage that the only place that you find success in a dictionary is after hard work. You've got to put in the work. Success requires work. To grow that mindset, it requires effort, it requires work. And I'll tell you how to do that in the next slide. But before I do that, ask yourself, which mind do you have? For those that have access to the chat box, I really want to make sure that you're engaging with me. I really don't want to be talking to myself. So for those who have access to the chat box, it'll be great to answer that question. Which mind do you have? Being honest with yourself. And whilst you guys are writing that down, I actually want to give you an actual example. I wish my client was online today. I do a lot of coaching behind the scene, and he's absolutely phenomenal. After our coaching classes with him, I'm actually helping him do a business plan at the moment. But after my coaching sessions with him, he will come out and give a testimony. And he's a perfect example of somebody who moved from fixed mindset through my coaching to growth mindset. When I first started coaching him, he admitted to himself, that he does, sometimes flippity flop around, and he's not always stable when it comes to, following through with his ideas or following through with his projects. But since obviously doing my coaching and having somebody keep him accountable, believe in him and teach him new things, he was able to adopt a growth mindset. Let me see if anyone's written anything in the chat. Okay, I can see somebody wrote, I've exhibited fixed mindset initially, but working on the growth mindset. Fantastic. And feel free to chat in the room. I can see all your chats. So that's great. Can you also tell me how you've exhibited a fixed mindset and how you're working on a growth mindset? And I'll look at that after. Also, please get your questions ready. If you have any, I'll sort that out towards the end of the webinar. So let's go back. So common misconceptions of a growth mindset is, the first misconception is, I'll just have a positive attitude. Yeah, you have a lot of people saying, oh, just be positive. Yeah, a positive mindset, a positive attitude leads to a growth mindset. No, that's not true, right? Or being open-minded or flexible, that equals to a growth mindset. No, that's not true either. Or a growth mindset, just declare it, that's not true either. A growth mindset is not something that you declare. A growth mindset is not a positive attitude, and it's not about just being open-minded or flexible. It's actually a journey, and it's something that you have to develop. So let me talk to you about how you can develop a growth mindset and some of the benefits of a growth mindset. So when you have a growth mindset, you use failure as a tool for improvement. Let me have a look in the chat box. So you use your failures, your flaws, the downsides about you as a tool for improvement. So I want you guys, when you come off this webinar, have a look through your life. Have a look through your life. Have a look through some of the failures that you've had. I can look through my life and name many. Instead of you wasting those failures, why don't you gather knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from those failures and use it as a tool for improvement? I will be doing a webinar on procrastination, because I always say that procrastination and fear are cousins. And a lot of people, they always tell me, oh, I'm procrastinating. Okay, you procrastinated, you failed. What are you going to do about it? Do you have a habits tracker? Do you need to wake up earlier? Do you need to go to bed later? Do you need to have an accountability coach? Because I don't believe in wasting failures. If I'm going to fail, let me gain something from it, right? Let me have a look at the chat, because I don't want to be talking. Oh, it's a word. Okay. Thank you, Janice. Right. So in order to have a growth mindset, gather information and learn from your setbacks. I can't remember who it was, but one of the ladies told me from the States, said that, it's a pandemic right now. It's a crisis. Somebody called me up and told me, Hannah, I've just taken 4 courses in real estate. I had no clue about real estate. I've been working my normal 9-to-5 job, but I've just subscribed to 4 courses paid for to learn more about real estate. And yes, we know it's a pandemic, it's a crisis, so not everybody has the luxury or the time or the money to invest in courses, but webinars like mine are free, and there's so much other information out there that is free. Are you committed to using 30 minutes a day to grow your mind? What books are you reading? What podcasts are you subscribed to? I love the quote that if you want to see a successful man, check his daily habits. What are you doing every day? Right? So gather information and learn from your setbacks. That's critical to a growth mindset, learning from your failures, learning from your setbacks, critical, critical, critical. Keep that in your mind. You're also more likely to be inspired by people who are better than you rather than discouraged or intimidated. Ouch, that's a word. Ouch. In this social media era where people are comparing themselves with one another, that is a fixed mindset, my dears. If you have a growth mindset, you're more than likely to not be envious, ouch, but be inspired by people who are better than you rather than discouraged. And I have a gentleman online right now, Olani King, great guy. Go and check him out on Instagram. You know, he inspires me. He's joined on my webinar. He's not intimidated. He's a speaker as well in the personal development industry, but he still decided to subscribe. So when you're exhibiting a fixed mindset, people don't inspire you, right? They intimidate you. Okay? So these are all signs and clues of whether you're still in the state of fixed mindset or growth mindset. I'm going to take a little bit of a pause. I know some new people have just joined. If anybody wants to say anything, please write in the group chat. It's so silent because I'm recording, but if you want to say anything, write in the group chat. I will stop recording and I will open up the chat room for questions and answers. But let's move on. We're almost rounding up. So how do you shift your mind? That's the most important thing on this webinar today. I'm sure it's what you guys came from, mindset shift. Hannah, how do we shift our mind? Brilliant. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Number one, your brain can change by way of training. I've touched on this already. Train your mind for success. Gather information. Read books, training videos and materials. Rome wasn't built in a day, right? A lot of the stuff I know now, I invested in coaches, I invested in mentors, I invested in materials, I spent serious money, right? And you can do the same things accessible to you, but only if you want it. And I know, you know, finances might be tight at the moment, but like I said, YouTube is free. Anything you want to learn today in the 21st century is on YouTube, like anything. So nobody has any excuse, right? Another thing, celebrate efforts. Celebrate your efforts. A lot of people don't do that enough. You know, we live in an era where everyone is comparing, right? Even the smallest things, they don't celebrate. Celebrate your efforts. The fact that you came on this webinar today is, you need to celebrate that. The fact that you chose to invest in your mind when you could have watched a good Netflix movie, right? You chose to invest in your mind. So celebrate that. And do not ignore your failures. Accept the failure and rise from it. And trust me, guys, take it from somebody who's in the personal development game. It's not always easy to accept your failures and rise from it. I think that takes maturity. That's really, really tough to do. But the day you decide to say, I accept X, X, X in my life, that is the day that you start progressing, right? And I always talk about awareness and acceptance. Those who do my coaching programs, we always go through two things. We go through acceptance and awareness. First, I ask my clients, what are you becoming aware of? I'm becoming aware of the fact that I'm lazy, all right? I'm becoming aware of the fact that I am in X and X amount of debt, yeah? Because I ask my clients to be completely honest. Don't lie to themselves. You know, to your own self, be true. I am becoming aware of the fact that I have not reached my goals in the last 3 years, right? So what do you do after that? You accept. Okay, I accept the fact that I've not been able to reach my goals in the last 3 years, but this is how I'm going to rise from it, right? I accept the fact that I'm in X and X amount of debt, but this is how I'm going to rise from it. Do you get that? You see, acceptance is so powerful. But acceptance is only powerful when you choose to do something about the failure, right? And that acceptance has helped me so much in my life. It's held me accountable to me, and it's held me accountable to others. And then the third thing, do not be discouraged by your failure. It's so easy to throw in the towel when we fail, right? But you have to view your setback as part of learning. And these are all the ways that you shift your mindset. This is how you develop a growth mindset. I've got somebody who's asking me, are you able to send the presentation slides via email? Yeah, I can do that. Only for those who are on the class though. I'll send the recording, so you don't need the presentation slides. I'll send you the recording after the webinar. All right. So how do you develop a mindset for success? I'm about to open up the webinar chats for Q&As, or you can write me in the box, but let's get this over and done with. So how to develop a mindset for success? Like I said, never ever stop learning. Another one, no risk and no reward. You have to do something completely out of your comfort zone. Sorry, I've got comfort written there wrong. I'll edit that. You have to do something out of your comfort zone. Unfortunately or fortunately, when I started out, like I said, I did a lot of knocking on doors. There wasn't this much technological tools around at that time. So I think my first corporate client was Microsoft. I got Microsoft 6 months into my business, and I literally just was cold calling. Like I was a hungry 24, 25-year-old girl. I was like, hey, I've got to get to my destination. So stepping out of my comfort zone, money or no money, was no problem for me. You know, I naturally am just like this. I think it's just the fact that I just naturally have this drive. But there are things that do scare me. And when you find that something scares you, it means that you're supposed to do it, right? When you feel that fear, I don't know if any of you have read the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. But if you haven't read the book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers, I suggest that's a good book to start with after this webinar, right? Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I'll put it in the chat box. You can get, obviously, my book, I Dare You, by Hannah Oyewole. I'll put that there too. And then Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Some of you may have already read it. But all of that is in the chat box now. So, and that book will help you overcome your fear and step out of your comfort zone. And be grateful. Gratitude is an attitude. With my clients, I actually have a whole session on gratitude. And I've sent them links for where to buy gratitude journals. But you have to be thankful. And the reason why I ask my clients to have gratitude journals, that's another tip, you guys can go and search gratitude journals, is because you'll be surprised how many amazing things are happening in your life every day that you overlook. The fact that you've survived this COVID-19 is something for you to be grateful for. But there's so many things that we ignore. We tend to look at the negatives in our lives rather than the positives. But if you have a gratitude journal or something that you can document where you can see how good God has been to you every day, then you will look at your life and realize, okay, my life isn't that bad after all. Okay, well, I don't have everything in my life, but I have life. Okay, I don't have everything in my life, but I have sight, but I have ears, but I have legs, but I can walk, but I can move, but I can start all over again, right? As human beings, we're growing individuals, okay? So you must be grateful. Gratitude unlocks a whole different world, okay? And then obviously the last one is be healthy in your body and your mind. You know, that is key. Obviously right now, it's probably more key than anything else. I know Janice is online, and Janice, I think Janice is a vegan. Maybe I have to get you on one of my webinars, but Janice is committed to healthy eating. Her Instagram page is amazing. And that also helps you to transition as well. It's not always about consuming materials and books. It's also what you put in your body, right? Because our body is like a machine. It's like an engine. So, so hopefully those 4 tips, you take them away. I think we're coming towards the end. Yes, we're coming towards the end. So let me go right to the beginning. Anyone who's been on here from the beginning, you can unmute your mics if you have any questions to ask me. I'm going to stop the recording